Hello. This story is dedicated. Get it figured out. There you go. The story is dedicated to thoughts. I would have never thought without you. So, here we go. I love this land almost as much as I love my father. Not because he is king and everyone seeks his counsel, but because he is the source of my life. Have you done your studies today? I looked up shocked that he was awake at such an early time. I normally use the light of the moon to write, to get my thoughts down out of my clogged brain. Good morning, Father, I said, standing from my bed as the full moon shone out my window. When it is the daytime, it is their daytime, it is my night. What is their sun is my moon. So my studies happen under moonlight. No, I'm not sick or allergic to sun. I just prefer the moon, my mother. Thoth is waiting in the garden. You must hurry, my father said, pulling my white gown from my wardrobe. He handed me my gown and turned around as I dressed. This year is very important, Zeph. You must learn before we leave. This time we will be gone longer. My father and his before, spanning time beyond the stars we came from, spanning time beyond the stars we came from. We made an exodus every couple years. I remember being a little child the last time our family made the exodus. How expanded my mind became at an early age. I understand, Father, I said, placing my hands around his waist, fully dressed. I squeezed as hard as I could. I love you more than all. I could feel my father beam with joy. He patted my hands and walked to the door. After you, my long white gown traveled through the open door. The thought, Angel, I need you to stop now. My long white gown trailed through the open door. The light of the moon. Thoth sat in the garden, legs folded and hands making the sacred symbol. You must learn to walk with your mind so no one can hear you coming. Sometimes I forget to turn off my human brain and let my spirit lead. My apologies, I said. My eyes cowered to the ground. Under the night, my form started to shift. Each arm became light, then form. My hair floated as my spirit shifted the molecules around me, turning the water in the air into a power source until I was blue light, blue like the fire before it burns. Then I walked silently to Thoth and sat in front of him. The fig tree he sat near began to rumble, leaves shaking at my presence. Control the fig. I nodded my head. From the tip of my fingers grew a flower bright white. I placed it at the base, and the fig swallowed the offering and stood still, and each fruit began to glow. Every plant in the garden came from a different realm. Each realm, the spirit of the plant reacts differently to your presence. Each plant is a part of you. You grew them in each of your lives. They must be taken care of. So you will always, no matter where you are on this exodus, you will have a source of energy. Sacred binding energy. I am not allowed to touch meats that have not been prayed over or offered first to my father, then me. When I was a child, a man offered me some livers. Before I knew, I changed in front of him. My eyes went black. My body went black. I remember being pulled from his body and dragged. Screams and blank spots. They held my arms and backwards. My thirst could not be quenched. My father had heard the commotion and immediately wrapped his full body around me. Go get Thoth! Muffled screams. I was surrounded by white light, thirsty. They poured what looked like blood, sap down my throat. As you can see, I'm trying to read, Mama. This may be hard to do because she is on a power trip today. Mama. Okay, where was I? I was surrounded by white light, thirsty. They poured what looked like blood, sap down my throat. I felt the coat cover my thirst. I don't remember much after that, just sleep. Long, long sleep. Don't dwell too far on the path, Zeph. You will get stuck there with no way back. A tear began to form from my face. Thoth quickly grabbed a leaf and caught the tear and placed it in a tiny bottle. Control your tears, for they are the source of rain. All of a sudden, my earth center began to shake, as if a stone dropped in water. When I was in my light body, when I was in my light body and my father approached, this would always happen. He was the highest point of any vibration, the top of a mountain that no human has ever climbed. Excuse my disturbance, though. May I see you? I held on and closed my eyes only. I held on to Thoth and closed my eyes. Only when I was a baby, only when I was a baby, my father was allowed to see my eyes. They say that if I looked upon my creator, I would burst into another galaxy, creating more planetary systems, lost before I was ready. I hear that is what happened to my mother. I only hear stories and songs of her, but the stories stopped as I got older. I didn't hear Thoth leave. That much energy, I turned back human. Soaked in dew from the air, holding on to my legs, I sat shivering in the garden beside the figs. I slept. The last exodus that stood in my mind was our trip to India. I was 7 years old when we arrived. Our long train was welcomed, our camels, our elephants, our tigers, all gifts to their realm. Kings and gods. My father said they were offerings to bring peace. No more fighting over gold and resources. His gift offer was peace to their realm. We arrived mid-sun, the golden hour. A large palace, the largest I've seen on this continent, stood above stairs leading to leading to this family who watched the guests greet us. We walked up the stairs made of gold, my bare feet absorbing the blessings and the powers of the golden steps. We arrived at the top where the king stood with his family. A girl my age. I wonder if she can hear me. I looked startled, wondering where the sound was coming from. Who just spoke? I said, confused to everyone. You can hear me? A little boy about 8 stood in front of me. His eyes blazed green, greener than the trees where I came from. Green like a garden, my fig tree green. I looked at Thoth, who stood down the line. He stared at me intently. I lowered my eyes. No one can hear us, you know, the little boy exuded. They're all on a different frequencies. We happen to be on our own. I looked at my father and began to climb his kundalini. His lips were speaking to this realm's king, but his third eye spoke directly to his vibrations, carrying messages I wasn't supposed to hear. I flied back into my form, eyes still lowered. You know, I can access my father's kundalini anytime. Watch. I can see the boy's soul flutter to his father's kundalini and bring back like a butterfly looking for nectar as he rolled up the spine. As quick as he went up, he was back with books. If I am to succeed my father, I must have unlimited access. For when he dies, I'm king. Is it like that where you're from? The boy asked. Because my father never lived. Oh, the boy asked. Because my father never lived, he would never die. Therefore, I would never succeed. Just succeed. Because I only live for experience. I am only here to learn, the little boy would never understand. So I didn't bother explaining. Watch this. He climbed again and made his father speak. What is your daughter's name? I quickly looked at my father, who placed his hand over my shoulder. This is my daughter, Zephnath. We call her Zeph. I wanted to know your name. Nice to meet you, Zeph. The little boy spoke. My, is she just as stunning as her mother? My heart jumped. This is my son, Danish. My father nodded. Danesh would never look my father directly in the eye. He stared directly to my soul, his green eyes almost burning my facade. I could feel Thoth's eyes on me, almost saying, when you show your power, they will never understand your force. I apologize for keeping you on the steps. Let me call you into our home. The golden doors automatically opened as if on their own. In the main entry stood large steps leading all the way to the heavens. To the right, all the altars were are where my king, and to the right, all the altars are yours, my king, and to the left, all belongs to your wife. Doors of gold aligned each side of the palace. Servants entering and leaving each door, decorated in gold, and words listed on each. Names, I assume, each of their own, every form in all the stars. Let us continue into the dining where we will feast. All of our people followed in line, and my father holding my hand, never once letting me go in this realm. Women were not allowed to sit at the head of the table. It was just males. Then the oldest female, then Danush, and I sat across from each other, and each new generation of both sides came after. Even if we are the youngest, normally I would have my daughter to sit next to me at all times. My father's voice boomed like thunder. I do apologize, my king, but our customs are different in this. Our customs are different. This is our... My father respected customs, so he did it. He let it go. Danesh looked... All right. Stop it. Let me finish. Okay. Danesh looked to me, and with his mind, he said, "Watch this." He took his fork and knife and floated it in air and landed on his plate, which he began to cut. I laughed out loud. Please stop. I laughed out loud and covered my smile. My laugh began to rumble the table. The white cloth and golden plate shook. The water glasses rippled. The next thing I knew, Thoth whispered in my ear, "Control your emotions, if not." My face beamed with embarrassment. I didn't hear him coming or leave. Back to his seat. I noticed Danesh had already eaten all of his food. "Come with me," Danesh said as he ran to the entrance. Everyone was in deep conversation, but Thoth's eyes followed me as if warning me not to get into anything. We've been on this plane for millions of years. My father fought in the war of the Sako. When I am king, we will have no wars, only peace, Danesh said, leading me up the golden stairs. My head began to vibrate, speaking of war. The lowest frequency is death. Rotting fear. Flashes of this war clouded my head. Children crying, sons lost. I couldn't take how my mind sunk. As soon as I uncovered my ears, flames as big as any fire burning gushed from my eyes. Control your emotions, control your emotions, control your emotions. I would hear in my head. I thought of home. Gathered my energy sources and allowed the tears I've failed to cry wash away the fire. I looked up to find Danesh had not looked behind to see me at the bottom. He was still talking about... Come on, Mama. Come on. Stop it. You want to go 5 minutes? Yeah? I'm almost done. Here. You gotta be careful with these, okay? It's got raisins. Okay? All right. Controlling her emotions. I thought of home, gathered my energy sources, and allowed the tears I failed to cry wash away the fire. I looked up to find Anesh had not looked back behind me at the bottom. He was still talking about many topics, switching through topics so quickly. Why were boys obsessed with becoming kings, like their fathers? I couldn't contemplate, but I ran upstairs to open the door. This is my room. It was as if I stepped into a jungle. The greenery stunned me. Lush trees, blue skies, a pathway leading to the center of the forest. Hurry, we'll miss the offering, Dinesh says, waiting at the top of the forest. I ran to keep up. Before entering the forest, he put out on the gown, he put on the crown of Hushed and covered the soles of his feet. You should do the same, but mainly cover your hair with your ribbon in your hair. If they see you are many things, or if they see who you are, many things could happen. I untied my long ribbon and wrapped it around my head and placed the oil on my feet and my third eye. As we entered the forest, I began to hear drums. I would feel the fire, feel the intense energy seeping from the trees. I began to get excited. When we arrived to the center, feathers, bells, tune, feathers and bells twined around feet, songs praying for rain. Children smiled and danced. They smiled. They called upon my mother, said her name in a song. They cried to my father. They even spoke of me. Surprised, I climbed up the kundalini of a girl who looked as if she could have been my sister. What are they doing? I asked. She looked directly at me, as if she was waiting for me to arrive. Past the fire, the dancers on slow motion. She stared deeply. They need you. They are lost. We are lost. Everything sped up, and she fell to the ground. She is here, she spoke. Ask, why has there been no rain? I looked puzzled. Gold lettering began to fall from the sky. I read it aloud. You've abandoned your soul, the force behind the rain. You pray to war and sacrifice 2 sons of men. You torture the source of soul I have given you in the sanctity of your female power. You led when I put her. You lied when I put her there. Hold on. She spoke every word I said and began to rumble. How can we fix this? Ask. Men shouted. Even if I would give you the remedy, your lesson would not be complete, for your sons would do the same. Suffrage is your only answer. My father's words ran in my head. I began to become angry. How could he let them suffer this torment? I began to run back to the edge of the forest. That's it. That's all I wrote from my memory. So, that story is a story that's actually happened. long time ago, one of my past lives flooded in my head, and I'm just excited for the new chapter that is coming in the lives of all of the children of Earth, you know, with the memory and dream recall. Everything is coming back to me. Everything. My memory is being restored as I prayed. I prayed a lot when I was this summer for my memory to be restored, and it's been restored. And yeah, that really happened. So, whatever you can decipher from that story is what's going to be happening next. Whatever you can decipher. Again, that story is dedicated to Thoth, for without thought, I would not be here. Have a good day. I love you. Love your mama, your daddy, your goosey granny. Bye.